Happy Gather Round Friday, everyone. It is we won't call it a great day in Adelaide, but we're here in Adelaide. I'm Warnie, coach of the Warnie Dogs, and this is Drew.
Coach of the Mountain Goats and host of the Goat Fantasy podcast. Hey, we're in person.
We're in person. This is nice to do this like this, despite the studio setup involving like Calvin's undies sitting on the floor here in front of you and all that sort of stuff. It's all part of it.
I can see Calvin's hat.
He's got his pirate hat here. We've got all ready because we're going to be off to do our live show soon at the Ellie, which is going to be a lot of fun. Drew can't be there because he's got more important things like his actual day job being on TV.
It's debatable if it's more important.
No,
but you got to keep the lights on somehow. Can we raid the minibar here?
Yeah, well, I don't even know what's in it.
You're telling me that last night when you got home at 2 a.m. with your Baconators, that you didn't try and open up another stubby.
No. We have. Cal bought a six-pack when we did go home at halftime last night because that's pissed down. That was not good.
The weather has been horrendous.
It has, yeah. It's really sad because every other gather round has been awesome, hasn't it?
Yeah,
It's been so good. So last night, well, let's talk about that. You were a pretty excited man, and I was actually copying this from some of your colleagues about how excited you were about blokes like Josh Rochelle.
I wish that Zeets had taken a video of one of the three goals because I was going nuts. And, bearing in mind, we were standing in front of the Fox Footy.
They probably saw that.
So they're seeing Drew Jones. What's he fucking jumping around for? But no.
Full nuff mode.
When your team's as bad as mine, when one of your players kicks 3 goals in the first quarter, you got to enjoy the moments. And also, Sam Walsh had 15 disposals, and then Vossi put him at half forward at the start of the second quarter. What is he thinking?
Jeez. And time on the pine too.
What the hell?
So in that, we saw some awesome scores. Rochelle kicked 4 snags, 124, and he's feeling it. Like, that's the thing about him. He's just actually, if you don't have him, you just need him because he's probably now, would you nearly call him a top 6?
Well, he's definitely top 6
on what he's doing at the moment. Yeah.
No, he would have got a 150 if the weather didn't go the way it was because that game was so open and he was just on his own all night.
We saw, scores tank a bit in the second half for some of the players as we saw through there. Rankin had a good one, which now bottoms him out in price. So I think that's a target for people that are keen. Old Wayne would have preferred the Wayne to go away, but he had an 85, so we'll tick that off as we would with Lockie McAndrew with an 84. Jordan Dawson-Cow wasn't happy about that 85.
Well, he was happy when he argued Ben Ainsworth and dobbed it from 50.
That did look good. So you mentioned Walsh, so 99, so I guess we tick that off. Walsh is turning into a bit of a disappointing pick as such, isn't it? Especially after that start too.
I think it's fair to say it's a failed pick, but he hasn't killed us. Like Caldwell has killed me.
Yeah.
But Walsh has just been like, wow, we thought he was going to average 105, 110, and he's averaging 100.
And a lot of people are on board, so it doesn't hurt you as much either. Nick Newman had a 7. He looked very busy early too with a couple of kick-ins very early. But
weather didn't help.
No, that's right. But then we've got probably the big talking point, I guess, for a lot of coaches is Jagger. So he ended up with 57. Now, that's off the back of scoring 10 and 0, a donut in the first half. Like, that's what he did.
It was totally unsighted. Yeah. I forgot that he was even playing. And we're obviously so happy about how Walsh and Rochelle were going early. We didn't even notice.
Didn't care. And everyone's got him, so you don't care as much about that. But now
what has happened? But why?
I think there's a lot of forward time. He only had 30% CBAs. He copped it last week. Obviously, they got rid of Hewitt.
I thought that would have meant that Jagger was going to get a boost.
Yeah, got the clock. But
very unusual.
He did have a 22 and 25 point third and fourth, so
he's become
all right.
Expendable.
At the moment. We wouldn't have thought that he would be one of the first rookies we offload, but he's possibly in that position, which is pretty shit.
Annoying.
It is, but with that, it'd be nice to see how close he could get to this DPP as well, because these last couple of weeks, maybe the numbers help him get to that 35%.
Which 50 is a 50, doesn't matter where you are in the lineup.
Yeah.
It's still shit.
Oh, well, that's right.
I mean, Dev's going to get 80, so...
Yeah, well, let's hope so. We need him to come back. All right, let's get stuck into this weekend and the games that we've got to come. Oh, dog.
Okay,
well, we've got organised. So let's start tonight.
Collingwood Fremantle.
Yep.
There's only one thing here for us to talk about.
Tell us what you're going to have your eyes on at the back of your head while you're presenting AFL tonight.
Well, I am put in a unique situation where I can be at ground level at Adelaide Oval when Collingwood are warming up. So that's great for us to make a decision on and see what Nick is doing before the final teams get announced. But also the final teams come out now before the game starts. Nick was in the final team last week.
That was a late.
So I'll give you the backstory. So obviously he looked terrible in that warm-up against Brisbane.
Yeah.
He was always going to Queensland for that weekend.
Right.
So I think Collingwood felt, well, maybe he's unlikely to play, but let's just suit him up and give him the chance. But the final warm-up was a disaster.
It looked terrible.
It looked shocking.
Yeah.
So then he spent the weekend in Queensland, and my assumption would be, as being the ultra-professional that he is, that he would have done a fair bit of rehab even though he was technically on holiday on like a long weekend. Flies back to Melbourne on Monday, gets assessed by medical staff, and at that stage on Monday, they were confident that he would be available for Friday night. Trained Tuesday.
Didn't look great.
Yeah. And then we saw him do his captain's run in Adelaide. I didn't personally see it. I've seen the vision because we were at Adelaide Oval. He was at South Adelaide or wherever it was.
What would you call that?
He looked proppy.
Right.
Yeah. But he looked better than he did the last Thursday in Brisbane, but that's not saying that much because
it looked it looked bad.
But also it had a week to recover.
Yeah.
So he'll do a fitness test tonight, and yeah.
So the question is, would you trade him out if he is a laid out tonight?
I guess the hard thing is, how much do you value?
Yeah.
Getting the dollars from Farrow, assuming that's your other trade because you got to trade English.
Yep.
So. That's the hard thing. Like moving him to Bailey Smith seems like
would be great
if you're getting.
But then you're bypassing the Farrow.
Choice is a 0 or a potentially like a 120, 130 against West Coast, but then you're missing out on. What's Farrow going to go up this week?
Well, and that's even the thing. Like he's probably going to make 80K this week. Just off
so
the back
he's
of that.
already 410 or something. So then it's getting to a point where it's like,
yeah.
okay, so are we even doing it?
Yeah, and I think we've probably almost talked ourselves into that being a no-brainer only because we know that the cash is coming. And in a way, I think a little hand force, we'll fast forward through the teams a bit later, but with Jack's out, like he might just be that replacement for this week as well. So at least you're getting someone that, obviously sort of put a ton up on the board.
I think it's a really tough one. Because Nick is a keeper for us. Like we want him in a team all year.
Yeah.
But you can't just keep sacrificing points. It's 1.2 million sitting on your bench doing nothing. Anyway, it's a tough one.
Angry Anderson will be one that we watch. He's named smack bang in the middle, so mature age, the hitting zone of everything that we want to do with a rookie. So, he's a watch this week. I don't think you're going there with other options.
Yep.
Let's look at Saturday, and that is North Melbourne and Brisbane. You had a bit of a catch-up with Clarko crossing on your live cross, but Spargo's in for his first club game. Griffin Logue is back as well. So Finn O'Sullivan has sort of reported all through the week that he did get that jaw surgery, so he's out, which means that sort of tag that he has been doing won't be happening this week, which will make some people happy, I'm sure, or take a little bit of pressure off some of the players. Toby Pink's been omitted. Harris Andrews back after his suspension, and Hugh McCluggage after that calf is in. Joyce and Tunstall omitted. I guess the questions in this one, Colby named on a half-back now, which is a good thing, and hopefully he does his thing there for that. We are going to be looking at everyone throughout this game, but Will Ashcroft has become a target for coaches. Do you tick that one off after obviously a big score last week, or was last week the week to do it?
Well, is he still under $1 million?
Ooh, that's a good question.
He seemed like he was almost the best value premium midfielder going around. I just can't remember if I was looking
just over only 7.
Yeah. I think sort of last week I was looking at him and I was like, he's under $1 million.
Yeah.
And to get like a gun player for under $1 million seems like it's pretty tough right now.
Yeah.
I actually started with Will in Supercoach,
nice.
Weirdly, because I wanted like a point of difference at a particular price point.
Have those numbers been hitting there?
He had one bad game. But other than that, he's been great.
Yeah.
So I'd tick that off this week. Like if you wanted to go, if you decided you were going to turf Dacos, I think Will Ashcroft is a good value move.
Get you those dollars that you might need.
And it really helps that Finn O'Sullivan's not playing because, to be honest, that seemed like the move was to tag Will. I think like Lachie Neale's a great player, but he does so much work inside, whereas Ashcroft can hurt you sort of in and out. That sort of made sense to be the move. So I reckon that potentially frees up Will this week.
Yeah, now, emergencies, we don't have Doveston there. You got any source on that? Because remember, they rested him last week.
No, he was dropped.
Yeah.
He'd been...
And so now he's not even an emergency for this week.
Spargo's come in, so he's dropped further down the pecking order.
So I'm trading him instead of Blackie to get in Farrow.
You can make it
still make it work. Yep.
So you're holding Blackiston for another week.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
I just don't.
He's not going down in value.
There's
that's
no.
the thing.
There's no way for me to get rid of a forward and trade.
Oh,
in.
right, yeah. So I'm kissed. Smart
Is that
coaching,
Cook?
maybe. No, it's actually. Oh, who am I doing? Oh, because I've got Oscar Steen.
Ah, yes.
So that helps me. And Zakaleski.
Zakaleski.
Yeah. So there we go. Oh, just wanted, because I saw his name there, Dylan Stevens, when we're backstage after we finished our show, North Melbourne were coming on to go on stage, and he's walked down and going, Calvinator! So that was pretty cool. He goes, I loved you, bloke. So it's always funny when you see
Good on you, Tim.
a player who does love that. He's a good dude.
Next time he scores 130, but perhaps he'll
Well,
show
he
him a
must
little more
know.
respect.
He must know, actually, because, he does rack as well.
He would have been the most picked up player
Yep.
in drafts
Oh,
after
100%.
round one when
Yep.
when he knocked out that 130.
Bombers have got Sully Roby in. Also Sardis, who finally, I guess, gets a chance to have another crack, which is good. Nate Caddy, Jordan Ridley, so a bit of backline work there. But the backline players, especially Zach Johnson, has been omitted. Sardell Hawley, then Archie Perkins and Guelphy have also been omitted there too. So Parrish lives, as much as some people might have thought he might have been on the outer, also in the rehab group training.
Well, he's an old man. I think Sully Roby is at the hope that we can get rid of Doveston or Lombard, right?
Yeah.
Like next week, if all goes well. And he's like
Bit of a straight swappy side of one for that too.
but at least the cash is hopefully going in the right direction. Jeezy's built for footy.
Yeah.
The side, we saw him running laps in preseason. I was like, who
He's
is that?
ready, yeah.
'Cause he doesn't look like an 18-year-old. Like, he's a very strong boy. So hopefully it goes well. I mean, like, massive upgrade for you guys on Perkins. He's essentially...
Definitely.
Like, he's coming in to take Perkins' spot in the squad, isn't he?
Hopefully this first round pick works then. That's the thing for the Bombers. Bailey Fritsch is in. Bill Laurie has been omitted.
Just quickly, I mean, it's Melbourne, right? Like,
Yep.
is Max Gawn the right answer?
I don't know. I think
It's
both.
to run.
Yeah. I think both are right answers.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
it's just going to be whatever you need to do. I'm just happy to spend the money at the moment to get Max for that run, just for the point that, it is that 20 points difference. I'm even like in that little mindset of, is him being 10 points, I'm not really losing out that much by doing that. Yes, the cash is there, but I am getting a guy that I'm not making Brodie Grundy my captain. Max Gawn I can.
So the thing here is that if you go Grundy and you save the money, in 3 weeks' time, if Max has dropped 2 160s, like, who cares about the cash? Like,
exactly.
You've missed out on these huge scores. And you guys I've noticed, maybe it's just been the last week, maybe the last 2 weeks, you've been like, what are we doing? Why don't we get Gawn?
Yeah.
You've got to put yourself back where we were in the preseason.
Yeah.
He was fully priced.
Yeah.
And we thought that Rucks were going to go down. We had no idea, but we were thinking that Rucks would struggle. I mean, he's proved.
Well, he
wrong.
hasn't. That's
He's been unbelievable.
Like, others have sucked, but and there's sort of no chance of the duel as well. Like they might give Max Heath a game at some time, but I don't know.
So we talked about this when we were on the beers the other night. The days of someone stepping into the team and knocking out like a 70 as a ruck, like Coleman Jones getting like 28 last week.
Yeah.
Campbell Gray got like 10. It's right now. It's never been harder to score ruck points.
And it's like that with Blackie. Like we were like going, how can he physically not score more than 60 each game?
The cream have just risen to the top.
So Caldwell, see you later.
No, well, how?
Yeah, you how?
How do I get rid of him?
If you had the luxury, yes.
I would have bulleted him 3 weeks ago if I had the chance.
All right, Sydney and Gold Coast. They are playing at Norwood at the afternoon game. We'll call that twilightish or whatever you want to call it there. Malcolm Roses, Joel Hamling are in, and Sheldrick's out suspended. Lewis Melican injured as well. Oh, no, omitted. I thought he did get injured, though. Why do I think that? Maybe I did. Alex Davies is in and Jake Rogers out injured. So this game here, Brodie Grundy is the other option. So he's there. The Wits matchup, well, Max said that isn't a hard matchup for him.
It's usually tough. It's not tough for Max. No, he never scored 100 against Gawn.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, Butza.
Ridiculous.
So just one thing, if you're tossing up with Jai Sarong, just be careful here because traditionally at Norwood, wingmen don't score.
She's
well.
tight. There aren't wings, are there?
Well, one side is flat.
It is, yeah.
But yeah,
I love the overhead shots of the ground. It's amazing to see.
Just a word of warning because I don't want to be the guy that says don't play Jai Sarong and he gets another ton, but I would stick an emergency on him and use jacks.
And you could loop if you need to.
Because he might get a 40.
Yep. For sure. In that too, I think, Heaney could be an option for coaches, but do remember, and this is the thing about the Grundy one, if he hadn't had that 137 last week, I think he'd be even lower down on our list for an option because his scores haven't been great. And so that might be a word of warning with any of these players coming off a West Coast matchup. It is ridiculous. Roy wants to get rid of Noah Anderson, but I don't think he can. Oh, that's just been an annoying pick.
I said to one of my mates who's doing quite well this year, I just picked bad premiums. And because of all of the carnage,
makes a difference.
You're stuck with them. So I just have a bad team because I didn't pick the right premiums, which, going into the season, Caldwell we were talking about, could he do 120 because that's what he's done previously, and obviously Noah Anderson had the two good matchups.
And you just think that it evens out by now too. Like you probably would have got enough out of them just to go, it's not so bad.
Not to be.
Hawthorn and Bulldogs is probably the match of the round that we get to see tomorrow night. Carl Amon, Cam McKenzie come in. Scrimshaw's been managed, but Jack Dalton, after debuting last week, has been omitted. The Dogs have made their call for Tim English, who is out injured. They're going Lewis Emmett, or is he a Louis? He is in there. Young fella, 230k rookie. Oh, is he 230? Might even be a little bit
Who's
more.
that?
Emmett. I haven't looked at his price. I assume he's right down the bottom anyway.
Probably 230.
Ed Richards is in after that laid out last week.
Amazing.
The comms this week made it sound like it might have been a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
So,
I think I spoke to Mitch about this. He said 2 to 3.
Yeah.
And I think that the Dogs were pretty pessimistic, and then they actually saw him train, I think.
And he was fine, yeah.
No, not fine, but Bevo said, it might be a miracle if he plays.
So that's a watch then?
It is a watch, but I think if you own Ed Richards, at least you can say to yourself, well, he's been named, so he can't be that far off.
So hopefully you've got an emergency for him. Cooper Hines, Harvey Gallagher, also the ins there. So with Tim, we've also got Artie Jones injured. Lockie McNeil has been omitted because he was the laid in for Richards, but Lockie Jacks has been managed.
Very annoying.
Very annoying. You're not trading him yet because he's got cash to make. So.
Well, they've got a short break into their next game, I think.
So he's that important player that you go.
He has had a good start.
He has.
He's a good player,
and they're using him, which is something I do like about what he does. We might see some good points from Riley Sanders, but depends on the Ed Richards stuff is essentially there. But we know that they've got Libber's still out. Yeah. That thing's happening. Let's move to Sunday. Extended squads, and I don't know if you've got any insight in these. We'll see these. Not too far away, actually, to be honest, the final teams. But we've got the Cats and the Eagles. Nevitt, Warple, O'Connor and Kolajasny are the ins to the squad, with Blix managed, probably against the Eagles matchup.
Well, he's got his 300th game coming up.
And they're timing it.
I think they're timing it for GMHPA.
So you can have a nice banner there. Elijah Hewitt, Dev Rob off the back of his suspension is back in. Marek and Bailey Williams. Jamie Crisp's been managed. So Bailey Williams, you don't think they're going to go a dual ruck, but I heard some training reports that made it sound like that he might have been in over Flynn. Who
have they named in the ruck?
They've named Flynn in the ruck, yeah.
I mean, and McQualter did say last week, he's like, don't pay attention to where we put people.
Yeah.
So
that just might be, do you reckon?
Flynn has not been good.
What does the system look like when clubs submit their teams in?
Every club's different.
I wonder if it's like copy and paste from last week and go, it's a squad, therefore we'll just sort of leave it and then just shuffle the players.
Every team's different. Like, trying to get an insight is difficult. But yeah, I mean, McQualter said publicly, don't pay attention. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, this is all semantics because no one's got Flynn or Bailey Williams in their fantasy team.
No, but what you would have is a matchup, not that this one is that Williams would probably be a harder ruck matchup than Flynn.
He's definitely more restrictive, yeah. So I'm interested in Bailey Smith here. Last week he got slowed down by Butler. He was on course for like a 160 last week, and he looked amazing in the first half. I wonder what the Eagles do here because
they've got options.
Has Dev got the? Has he got the
run?
Yeah,
that's Butler didn't either. That's the thing. They sort of went to him at stoppage, and he just burst too.
Well, look, Bailey Smith. The game was on the line, and Baz had no influence in the last quarter at all. It's interesting, isn't it? That also happened in the grand final. In the second half, he went to water. But, geez, when he's on, he's on. But, yeah, I'd be ticking off a Baz move this week.
All right, GWS and Richmond. So this one is up in the Barossa. Leclerc's in. Cadman, Brent Daniels. Nice to see him for a few draft teams there. Jack Buckley, Toby Bedford too. A nice little flag that might be happening there. But Nick Madden is in as well.
This was always likely to happen. Briggs has really struggled.
So Briggsy omitted with Callum Brown and also Grzeski. So they are the changes there for the Giants. And for the Tigers, they've got their ruck sorted now. Oliver Hayes-Brown will be holding down the number one ruck spot to start with anyway. Noah Bolter, Patrick Retschko into the squad, as well as Zane Piker.
Piker. FYI.
Piker, there you go. Bloody hell. Spell it properly then, mate.
Puker. Puker's better.
Puker, I like it. Well, depends on how he scores.
That's right.
And then Samson Ryan's out suspended. So that's where they're...
We don't care much about this matchup, do we?
No, we don't. The only thing is people will probably want to buy into Lockie Whitfield. I think he's the one to buy.
Because he's a
bit cheaper than Ash. And I think it's the value, but it's also the runs on the board. There's a bit of commentary about Ash's play. And I wonder if that starts affecting things. Because
in terms of how good he's been?
Yeah, like this, what he does. Like some of it can look so sharp, and then some of it can just look like just too fantasy piggish, and it's not actually great for the team.
When he's moving forwards and he's like dashing with ball in hand, like he looks incredible.
Yep.
But yeah, the Giants do tend to fall into that. Chip it around, and Whitfield's obviously a big part of that. But they want the ball in those two guys' hands.
So 100% there on that. Finn Callahan, I'd still be keen to get him. Obviously, there's always the tag flag for him. That's the.
He's like top 3 in the AFL for handball receives.
Yeah.
So
which is a good stat.
And that stat, I'm not sure you would have seen it pop up a bit. It's about like fantasy scoring opportunity.
Yeah,
he's like top 3 or top 4 in the league. So we
love him. Yeah, and he's at a good price, I think, too. Port Adelaide, so into the squad. The big one, Todd Marshall, that was your beat for us on Friday to make sure that he was there.
Like I said at the start of the podcast, never thought I would do a episode dedicated to Todd, but he's relevant.
We love it. Hopefully he's there. Named on the extended bench.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
So Zirk Thatcher and Visentini into the squad. Visentini unlikely, you would think. However, if there's a matchup, it is when you are up against two rucks.
Interesting that Kara said in the presser, I've known Jordan for a long time and he needed a kick up the bum.
Oh, right.
So naming Visentini round 1 was what was required.
That was. Interesting.
Yeah. What did you think of my pod suggestion? Darcy Byrne-Jones has moved to defence.
Yeah, it works for him.
And he is cheap as chips, but I don't know how you'd feel about doing it. But
I don't think I could have Possumeti in my team.
What if he tunned this week?
He'd get my attention, maybe.
So I'm trying to map this out.
Yeah,
so
what that can look like.
If you had nothing else to do, you could get Roby in.
Okay.
And then upgrade at you're at Lombard to DBJ. I don't know. I'm just getting funky here.
Throw that out there. We'll wait till we see a score because I don't think you're going to do it this week.
What do you think about Sparrow suggestions?
Oh, yeah. So, we didn't sort of talk to him.
That was the comparable in terms of similar price and stuff.
I just have liked Sparrow's role. I think it's looked pretty good. That's another one. We probably didn't mention that one there as well, that, Rivers still isn't in. So
he hasn't played.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
He hasn't played either.
They haven't had
a bye,
games.
And then last week he didn't play in the VFL. So I don't know what's going on.
Sparrow's been named on the ball. Yes.
Well, the role's
role's
good,
working.
But he got 27 in round 1.
Yeah, but not win that role.
Okay.
This is the thing. I think when you look at the CBAs and the scores that he's had, they've increased as they've hit those numbers. Okay. These last 2 weeks, I think, if this role sticks, obviously, is a true reflection. Other Port Adelaide players, I think that we're hoping that Butters can just do his thing. Everyone's in the same boat. There will be some interesting coaches that are interested in actually going across and seeing what you can do with that. But he's been a disappointing pick to start with.
Well, they're just not scoring.
Yeah.
So...
And that's it. And they had that run, Cows Green Mile, and that's pretty much running out now.
Yep.
That's the problem. Saints, I didn't mention those, but Boxall, Hunter Clark, Angus Hasty, Liam O'Connell into the squad. Liam Stocker is injured.
When do you think is the right time for Naz?
Well, you could do it now, but he's still coming down. Yeah. And you still don't have certainty in, is his role going to be something that's fantasy worth? Because he hasn't actually dropped a score that makes you go, yep, I need that. So
he was the consensus number 2 pick in most draft leagues.
100%.
Right now, he looks on target to average about 90.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be a top 6.
No, not when you've got his mate there, Sinclair, that is clearly ahead of him in a role that just suits him. It's actually helped him.
But if you just happen to trade Naz in because that was the best that you could get to, and all of a sudden he goes on a tear, then you've ended up with an amazing pick. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
All right, what are your trades then? Have you locked them?
Yeah, so Farrow is in for some sort of defensive something. and maybe if there's like Zach Estelski or something.
Okay, yeah.
And then who else? What are we doing this week? Oh, yeah, English to Gone.
And you're Gone. Yep. Is that a definitive one for you, or are you Yep,
it's definitive.
Yep. We had a pretty good chat on Thursday night. I think we went through every permutation of the thing, and I think that is where we've got to. It is such a hard one. That $210,000 is a lot of cash, especially with what we can do to fix our team. So instead of thinking about Darcy Byrne-Jones type players, we can actually think about good ones.
I think all things being equal, and he didn't have this run coming up, you would just go Grundy because it's the value move.
Yep.
But there's opportunities for massive scores for VCs, for Cs. Like there's I mean, this week he'll be my VC, but I don't really have anyone except probably Sinclair.
Yeah.
Sinclair
Which you should be able to back
option.
in.
But, if I get a 110 from Gawn, I'll probably just take it.
And we've probably got to not be greedy with that. I think last week was a good lesson for that one too. So
because a lot of people would have seeded English after
100%.
Whatever their early VC was.
And all of them. Like it was Shees, it was Butters, it was, I don't think anyone, and those people, like I had people questioning, do you take Zorko's? And now, it's just a no-brainer. He's 116 last week, so that's it. Drewy, it's been great to be hanging out with you and having a few beers to make sure that we're all on top of our fantasy teams this weekend. It's been great to catch up with lots of people as well across this
awesome
weekend.
Yeah,
so.
A few people yesterday when I was having a beer, walking past, they were like, thanks for your hard work. There was a few GOAT listeners out there, so if you are one of those people that said g'day, we appreciate that.
Awesome.
Not the sort of fanfare that, not the same level that you guys received at the live show.
It helps when Roy's in his outfit too. And
so 4,000 people.
4,800 actually.
That's right, 5,000.
So we round that up. So.
And then what's the crowd going to be tonight?
250,000? 250? Yep, it's going to be
250,000,
yeah. It's going to be huge at the Ellie, which we're looking forward to. So hopefully someone might be listening to this, walking there now on their way. So can't wait to see people there. And yes, good luck for this weekend. It is going to be a cracker to finish off with, and it's hard to believe that we're only one night in. We've got a little while to go too. And
a whole weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, legends.
On your boys.